The American Civil War, 1861–1865. A detailed introduction. The American Civil War, 1861–1865, was one of the most defining conflicts in United States history. It was fought between the Union, North, and the Confederate States, South, mainly over the issues of slavery and states' rights. This war had a profound impact on the nation, leading to significant political, social, and economic changes. Over 4 years, it resulted in the deaths of approximately 620,000 to 750,000 soldiers, making it the deadliest conflict in American history. This script explores the causes of the war, key battles, military strategies, weapons used, losses incurred, and the eventual victory of the Union. The causes of the Civil War. The seeds of conflict. The war was primarily fueled by slavery and state sovereignty. The Southern economy depended on slavery, whereas the Northern states were moving towards abolition. The Missouri Compromise, 1820, the Compromise of 1850, and the Kansas-Nebraska Act, 1854, attempted to settle disputes but failed. The election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860 was a turning point, as the South feared he would abolish slavery. Secession begins. South Carolina was the first state to secede in December 1860, followed by 10 others, forming the Confederate States of America, CSA, under President Jefferson Davis. The war begins. April 12, 1861, the Confederate Army attacks Fort Sumter, South Carolina, marking the official start of the war. Lincoln calls for 75,000 volunteers to suppress the rebellion. Major battles and strategies. The Early War, 1861–1862. First Battle of Bull Run, Manassas, July 21, 1861. First major battle of the war, Confederate victory under General Thomas "Stonewall" Jackson. The Union, led by General Irvin McDowell, was forced to retreat. The Anaconda Plan, Union strategy. Proposed by General Winfield Scott, aimed to blockade southern ports and control the Mississippi River to choke the Confederacy economically. Confederate strategy. Fight a defensive war and gain European recognition, Britain and France. Cotton diplomacy. The South hoped Europe would intervene due to their reliance on southern cotton, but this failed. The war intensifies, 1862–1863. Battle of Shiloh, April 6 to 7, 1862. One of the bloodiest battles, over 23,000 casualties. Union victory under General Ulysses S. Grant. Battle of Antietam, September 17, 1862. The bloodiest single day in U.S. history, over 22,000 casualties. Union victory under General George McClellan forced General Robert E. Lee to retreat. Led to Lincoln issuing the Emancipation Proclamation, January 1, 1863, freeing enslaved people in Confederate states. Battle of Gettysburg, July 1 to 3, 1863. Turning point of the war, a decisive Union victory. Lee's second invasion of the North failed. Over 50,000 casualties in 3 days. Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, November 19, 1863, redefined the war as a fight for democracy. Act 3, The Final Years, 1864–1865. The War of Attrition. Sherman's March to the Sea, 1864. General William Tecumseh Sherman led a campaign of total war, destroying Southern infrastructure from Atlanta to Savannah. Broke Southern morale and hastened the Confederacy's collapse. The Overland Campaign, 1864–1865. General Ulysses S. Grant aggressively pursued Lee, leading to high casualties but continuous Union victories. The end of the war. The fall of Richmond, April 3, 1865. The Confederate capital fell to Union forces. Lee's surrender at Appomattox, April 9, 1865. General Robert E. Lee surrendered to Grant at Appomattox Courthouse, Virginia. Lincoln's assassination, April 14, 1865. John Wilkes Booth assassinated President Lincoln at Ford's Theater. Vice President Andrew Johnson became president. Act 4, Weapons, Losses, and Aftermath. Weapons of the Civil War. Infantry weapons. Springfield Model 1861 rifle, Union, and Enfield Pattern 1853 rifle, Confederate. Bayonets, sabers, and pistols, Colt revolvers. Artillery. Cannons, Napoleon 12-pounders, Parrott rifles. Naval warfare. Ironclads, USS Monitor vs. CSS Virginia, revolutionized naval combat. Union blockade runners crippled the Southern economy. Innovations. Railroads, telegraph, repeating rifles, hot air balloons for reconnaissance. Losses and impact. Casualties and economic damage. Union casualties, 360,000 dead. Confederate casualties, 260,000 dead. Total wounded, over 500,000. Southern infrastructure devastated, farms, railroads, and cities destroyed. The Reconstruction Era, 1865 to 1877. 13th Amendment, 1865 abolished slavery. 14th Amendment, 1868 granted citizenship to formerly enslaved people. 15th Amendment, 1870 gave black men the right to vote. Southern states had to be readmitted into the Union. Conclusion: who won the war? The Union emerged victorious, preserving the United States. Slavery was abolished, but racial tensions continued for decades. The war transformed America into a more centralized federal nation. The Civil War remains a defining moment in U.S. history, shaping the nation politically, socially, and militarily.